What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Are You Serious? Of course, quarantine episode. I lost track of how many numbers this is. But today we got me, Mr. Browning, and a very special guest. He used to cover high school sports for the Wichita Eagle, and now he covers Wichita State for the Eagle. We have Taylor Eldridge. Super excited to have you on, and thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we'll just hop right into it. Most of this is going to be kind of Wichita State themed, of course. So my first one for you is, what are your thoughts on all of these transfers that are happening, not just at Wichita State, but all across the country? And do you think the NCAA should step in and do something about it?
Yeah, it's definitely way more widespread than just Wichita State. Obviously, they're one of the ones leading teams in the country with ended up being six total guys on scholarship transfer out of the program. And, I see it more from the player standpoint where, I think they just have to do what's best for themselves. And, if they feel like, they need to go somewhere else, regardless of the reason, maybe it's playing time, maybe it's just, a better fit, where they're going to be happy. I mean, I'm all for it. And, I think, uh, I don't think it's as big of a problem as fans do, but I can understand why they're frustrated. I know everybody loves seeing, 4-year guys. They love seeing, Ron Baker and Fred Van Fleet, stay their whole career and play for, one program. But also, you have to think about these kids and, they have to do what's best for themselves too. So, I mean, I understand that standpoint too. So I don't think, the NCAA needs to do anything about it. I don't think it's like a huge problem. But I mean, it sounds like they might even make it easier where, the first time transfers, they might not have to sit out at all. So we'll have to see where they rule on that this summer. But yeah, for me personally, I kind of side with the players on this one. I think that, if they want to go somewhere where they feel like they're going to be happier, in a place where they feel like they can reach their goals, I'm all for it. So I don't think, even though it's negatively affected Wichita State, I don't think it's a problem the way that I see it.
Well, let's
And
look at the coach's perspective on this. Just kind of take the opposite side of it. If
Mhm.
you're a Division One basketball coach and you know that this rule is coming where people will become eligible transferring and they have to sit out a year, how do you effectively build a program? Whether that be your
Yeah.
blue bloods like Duke or Carolina, or your teams who are who recruit the top 50 to 100 guys like Wichita State, for example. How do you build a program if there's going to be all these influx of transfers?
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at it from a coaching standpoint. I mean, I can totally understand why the coaches are against it because they're trying to build a program and they're trying to have players that stay 2, 3, 4 years. And I think guys like us, from our generation, me and Matt, we were growing up playing like NCAA football, and like you would recruit and you would have project guys that would stay 3 and 4 years, and you build your whole program around it. So I think from fans should be able to kind of see it from that perspective. And it's tough, and I talked to Greg Marshall about that, and yeah, he said that it's completely changed the way that you build your team. Instead of looking at projections 2 and 3 years out, you got to look at it just as a year-to-year basis now. And that it's crazy to think about because that's what the one and done programs have been doing for years. But for Wichita State, they're used to guys staying 3 and 4 years and finishing their careers at WSU. But obviously with this with the new era, the current generation of players, uh, if the NCAA passes this first time transfer rule, yeah, it's going to be a lot crazier, and you're not going to be able to think of what your team could be in 2 or 3 years. You just have to worry about what you're doing this year. It'll be interesting to see. I think it might have an impact on high school recruits because some of these programs are going to be like, why should I bring you in if the odds are you're going to just transfer anyway. We'll just try to get first time transfers that have already been in college. So that's going to be the interesting thing to see, how this kind of progresses, how it affects high school seniors versus programs like Wichita State. Are they going to still recruit high school seniors, or are they just going to try to play the transfer market?
Absolutely. I like how you said the NCAA football thing. Browning still plays that actually.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
When
Who'd
my
you take?
wife's in bed, that's
Kent
why I
State?
pull that thing out. Let's go. Yeah.
that's a
Kent
perfect
State? Is that who
quarantine
you
game.
It definitely is.
I think he took you took over Kent State, right?
Absolutely. Oh,
The
yeah.
golden
Golden Flashes. We took them over.
oh, oh
Are
my
you
gosh.
playing 2014?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Last one.
um, my next one is so with all of these new faces, I mean, kind of looking from the outside in for almost my whole life, Wichita State and Greg Marshall don't seem like the kind of program to not expect to compete for a title. So even with all these new faces, are you expecting Greg Marshall in that program to try to go and win an AAC title?
Yeah, I mean they're very confident in the guys that they did go out and get, and obviously, they were expecting some transfers at the end of the year, but they weren't expecting six. They didn't want to see that many guys leave, and um, yeah, I mean I think that those were losses, but I think the recruiting class that they do have coming in, they're going to be way more athletic. They're going to be longer. Maybe not as big as they've been in recent years and under Greg Marshall, but they're going to be a lot of just dogs out there that can guard multiple positions and really get after it on the defensive end. And it's going to be interesting to see how they all gel, because obviously when you bring in eight new guys, or I guess seven new guys, it's going to be interesting to see how everyone gels. They have the talent to absolutely be just as good, if not better, than what they ended this last season at. Around 23 wins in the NCAA tournament conversation. In terms of winning the AAC, obviously that's going to be a team goal, but not nobody's going to be picking them to win conference title. Houston has pretty much everyone coming back. They added the number one recruiting class. So they're going to be probably like a top 15, top 10 team in the country. So they're going to be the odds on favorite. But, after them, it's wide open in the conference, and WSU, if Alterique Gilbert, that's kind of the X factor. If he hits, if he's healthy, I think WSU could be right back in the NCAA tournament. 25 wins, right around there. I think that's a reasonable ceiling for this team.
And with all these new guys,
sorry, Kobe.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Well,
I was
switching
gonna
gears
say with
real
all
quick.
these.
Go ahead, Kobe.
Okay. I'm gonna say with all of these new guys coming in, who are some of the big names, or maybe I don't say big names, but guys who you think could come in and make an immediate impact right away?
Yeah, Alterique Gilbert's the number one recruit that fans need to know about. He's a grad transfer from UConn. Actually played against WSU the last 2 years. He's going to be the point guard for this next year's team. As a former 5-star recruit, former McDonald's All-American. So, obviously the talent is there, but, he's had shoulder injuries his whole career. It really kind of, threw him off at UConn, was never really fully healthy. So WSU is kind of taking a gamble, if they can keep him healthy, and maybe a new environment will bring out the best in him. But obviously, like I said, the talent is there, and if he's able to bring that out, he's going to push WSU to another level, because they've really, the last 2 years they've had freshmen and sophomores on the ball. So you bring in a fifth-year senior, experienced playmaker. I think he's just going to make life easier for everyone in that offense. And like I said, he's a dog on defense. He can really get after it. So he's going to be a immediate, maybe an all conference kind of guy if he plays well. And then the two JUCO guys too, Craig Porter, or they actually have three JUCO guys now. Craig Porter is going to be a name to watch. JUCO guy at both guard spots. He can get after it on defense. He can really explosive in transition. So he's going to be fun to watch for WSU fans. Clarence Jackson is a forward. They think that he can be kind of like a Rashard Kelly, Zach Brown, kind of junkyard dog type. He's undersized, but he plays bigger than what he is. He can probably play backup minutes at the 4. And Trevin Wade is another one to watch, 5'10", but he's got a 40-inch vertical. Just can absolutely jump out of the gym. And, he might be able to provide some minutes at the backup 1. So, they got some guys coming in that, the returners are basically going to be the starting 5. With Alterique sliding in at point guard, then you have Etienne and Dexter Dennis, T Wade, and then Mo Udeze now. So all the newcomers are mostly going to be off the bench guys. They just need to be rotation guys for this team to be good. So But yeah, the three JUCO guys are kind of the names to watch. And then, they like the freshmen too, but those are more, down the line freshman guys.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, of course, with the pandemic going on, there's questions about when will sports start, if they even will start, all those kind of things. In college, it's more layered because of the students having to be on campus. That's what the perception is of athletics getting going. And since Wichita State doesn't have football, it's kind of difficult to assess that. But have you gotten a sense of what college sports might look like based on conversations you might have had with other beat writers or people at the university of what are we looking at here? Or is it one of those things where we're still so far out that it's hard to really assess?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's one of those things where it's so early right now that I think that's a conversation that'll start to clear up in the summer. But yeah, I mean, I think the NFL and these pro sports, they can survive without fans. I don't think college sports can survive without fans because they're so dependent on fans buying tickets and buying merchandise and just the game day experience. I think it's they're not making as much money from TV. I think their cut of the pie is not as big from TV as it is for the NFL. So they rely on that in-person experience. So yeah, I mean, I think if you don't have students on campuses this fall, I don't think you can have college sports. So I've seen some people suggest maybe just moving the calendar back and starting college football in January or February or something and playing like a abbreviated season, and then obviously that would push basketball back too. So yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see what the NCAA has to do, but right now it's like it's not even May, so there's still time. There's still hope that things can get back to normal by the end of the summer, and obviously that's what everyone is hoping for. Everyone wants to see college football back in the swing in late August. But yeah, I mean right now I think it's just so early that there's no definitive plans or anything like that. But I think moving back the schedule, that is intriguing, and maybe getting rid of some these non-conference games and maybe just playing like 5 or 6 of them and then just getting to your league schedule. That could be an option. It'll be interesting to see what happens though.
And my last one for you, I've kind of asked all the guests that we've had on our show, but especially you, because I mean, your job revolves around sports, probably your life revolves around sports. So with no live sports right now, how have you kind of got your sports fix?
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of lucky with Wichita State. When 6 guys transfer out, it's a lot of news, and then they had 7 scholarships to hand out. So a lot of recruiting news. I did a lot of stories with the recruiting, and that lasted pretty much up until April, and even a week into April. So I was pretty lucky there, where I was staying just as busy, if not busier than I would be. And yeah, recently it started to slow down. Obviously, WSU has their whole team back now, or they have all the spots filled. So yeah, I've been working on kind of bigger projects that I had been wanting to work on. A cool one I'm working on right now actually is, I'm sure you guys are all over the Michael Jordan documentary. So he actually came to Wichita to play in 1981 in part of the McDonald's All-American game. And I'd always heard about this game, so I thought it'd be a cool project to try to talk to these guys that were at the game and do kind of like an oral history of when Michael Jordan was in Wichita. And so I've been working this week on that, and I've gotten so many cool stories. And it's obviously for a lot of those guys, that was one of the biggest moments of their lives, playing with Michael Jordan in that game. So yeah, I've been just trying to come up with projects like that, and I'm doing stuff like that. I'm doing a story that looks closer into the transfer stuff with Wichita State. I'm looking at just trying to do like feature stories on guys like Tyson Etienne, who's coming back for WSU. Trying to do one on Tariq Gilbert. He was the first one to commit to WSU after all those guys had left, and he kind of opened up the floodgates for WSU in recruiting games. So that it just gives me a chance to work on stuff that I might not normally have the time to work on. So I'm still staying busy. I mean, there's still, plenty to do. So for me, it hasn't really affected me too much, but yeah, I've been getting my fix in by just working on these stories and just trying to keep pumping out, stories that people want to read.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Taylor Eldridge here. And other than that, everybody have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And we will see you guys on Tuesday. Peace out.